We are going to carry out needlework processes, construction of seams used in clothing construction. One of the seams that we use in clothing construction is a plain seam. So when making a plain seam, we require 2 pieces of fabric. We require pins, a ruler, a pencil or a crayon, cutting out scissors, pinking shears for neatening the raw edges of the seam when we are not using stitches. We use also needles, hand sewing needles for neatening the edges, like when we are using loop stitches. Then we also need the iron for pressing the work which has been finished. The major equipment used in construction of seams and other needlework processes is a sewing machine. So the method: mark 1.5 centimeters from the raw edge on the edge where the seam is supposed to be made. 1.5 centimeters being the seam allowance. After marking the seam line at 1.5 centimeters, we use pins to hold the 2 pieces of fabric together. The pins are supposed to be vertical or perpendicular to the stitching line. Perpendicular to the stitching line. As you use pins and any sharp tools, observe safety so that you don't get injured. After marking and pinning, we tack along the stitching line, so we can use even tacking. It is necessary to tie a knot at the beginning of your tacking, which can be used for pulling out the tacking thread when permanent stitches have been made. So we tack along the stitching line as shown. It is also necessary to drift slightly from the stitching line, because you will have a problem or difficult time removing the tacking stitches when you end up holding them by machine stitches. So we have done tacking along the stitching line. We remove the pins after tacking. Then we machine along the stitching line. It's also good to note that we are working from the wrong side of the work of the fabric. Much as the fabric is plain, you may have printed fabric, so this becomes the right side of each and every piece, right side of the work. So we are working from the wrong side of the fabric. From here we machine stitch the work on the stitching line. So you bring the needle down and then you lower the presser foot. Then you start by reinforcing the beginning of your stitching line by stitching back Then you stitch straight along the stitching line. We have several options of running a sewing machine. We have electric motors. We also have hand attachment, like what I'm using now. And then we also have treadle machines. So this is how we remove the work from the sewing machine. Don't draw the work towards you. You draw the work away from you. Then you remove the stitches. So you cut off the stitches at the beginning and also at the end. At this point, our seam has been joined. From this point, we can now remove the tacking thread which we had used.